Welcome to the Pulse with Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano. Let's get you to the pulse on everything you need to know. And we are here at the gorgeous Il Tavolo di Parmesan restaurant located at 700 Clinton Street in the beautiful city of Hoboken, New Jersey. And I have a flair for the dramatics today because of the guest to my right, and that is the artistic director at the Mile Square Theater located just 7 blocks from here at 1400 Clinton Street, Mr. Kevin R. Free. Welcome to the program, good sir.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
The shake got you there, right?
It really did. I was shocked. I thought we weren't touching.
Exactly. Well, we do it all here on the Pulse of Peter. You know, just Josh. He's not allowed to do anything. But anyway, different story for a different time, Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin, why don't you give me some background of how long you've been at the Mile Square Theater?
Yeah.
And possibly some of the shows that you directed.
Wow, sure. So Mile Square Theater has been around for 20 years. We've been in this space at 1400 Clinton Street, just 7 blocks from this lovely restaurant, since 2016. I have been the artistic director there since January of 2022. But prior to that, I directed a production of a play called Pipeline in 2019. And then in 2020, when everything was shut down, I directed an online video version of It's a Wonderful Life. It was a radio play, but we did it on video.
Okay.
It blows your mind, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm confused, but that's okay. It's not hard. And I believe you just wrapped up a production, if I'm not mistaken.
We
correct?
did. We wrapped up a production called Rabbit Summer. It was written and directed by Tracy Conyer-Lee. It was a beautiful production about, well, our tagline was Marriage, Fidelity, Firearms. It was about the gun control conversation in this country and how, with respect to marriage and black people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're working on your next production, correct?
We are working on our next production. We have a kids show called Show Up Kids that's going to open in May.
Very cool.
Oh, sorry, at the end of April. But what's more important is that we have a benefit coming up this weekend called the 24-Hour Plays. The 24-Hour Plays, which you'll probably learn more about in a little bit. My colleague will tell you more about it.
You want to take over the host chair? Because that was an excellent segue, sir.
I might want to take over the We'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later.
But the 24-Hour Plays we will have 24 actors, 6 writers, 6 directors create 6 brand new plays in 24 hours at our space, and it's a benefit for Mile Square Theater.
That is fantastic. Yeah. And where is the benefit going to be held?
It is going to be held at our theater, just 7 blocks away from here.
Wow.
1400 Clinton Street.
1400 Clinton Street.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity to say the address again.
Exactly, right? Yeah. And now the test is, can you say the name of the restaurant we're at?
Yes.
The way I did.
Nobody can say it the way you did, Peter. But it's Il Tavolo and the rest.
All right. You know,
the rest. Di Parmesano.
Oh, there you go.
It's like the Parmesan table.
The Pulse with Kevin Free coming up. Kevin R. Free, that is.
Thank you for getting my name right. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So, Kevin, you know, why is it important for this community, the Mile Square community, as what the theater is named after, to support the theater, in your opinion?
Well, our theater is the largest arts organization in Hudson County, and it has grown to be that over the past 20 years by bringing quality adult programming or family adult programming that is not adult programming.
All right.
But programming, it's a regional theater, professional regional theater in the Hudson County, and we also have a robust education program with both theater education and dance education.
Wow.
So it is important to support us because we are bringing art made mostly by New Jersey residents to the Hudson County.
That is fantastic. Well, Kevin R. Free, who is the artistic director, we are out of time, unfortunately.
Name check, I love it.
Exactly.
Thank you.
But we are going to have your colleague on in just a few short seconds, so stay tuned for that. But you are invited on this program anytime there, Kevin.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Can I wear anything I want? I would come back.
Anything. You know, we love that.
I'm in.
Exactly.
I'm in.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Congratulations on all these successes. I can't even speak anymore.
It's fine.
You're getting me nervous,
too.
Mr. Artistic Director.
It's all right.
Exactly. The artistic director at the Mile Square Theater, Kevin R. Free. We'll see him in a future episode, hopefully. Or you promise.
I swear. I swear.
Exactly. Folks, when we come back, his colleague, you're not going to want to miss it. We will be right back. All right, as promised, we're here now with Leo Diaz, who is the producer of events at the Mile Square Theater for this benefit that's coming up later tonight. And I was just wondering, why don't we start with the benefits? And why do you think it's important for people to come and support the Miles Square Theater tonight?
Well, I found, like, growing up in Hudson County and doing theater when I was in high school here as well, a lot of our art scene gets sapped away into New York by our proximity. And a lot of people want to just go across the river to see something. And for the ones that don't want to and want local arts and want our own scene and community and culture here, I think it's really important to support this event and get to see those local artists creating brand new work by us and for us in this really, really unique avenue. Because who else is making theater in 24 hours?
Wow. No, I mean, I could barely make television in 24 days. I mean, you know, and I'm not that good at that, Leo. But anyway, so Leo, so technically, we were talking off camera here, and I was like, you need to explain this to the audience, because this was like, you know, mind-boggling to me, but I get confused very easily. And that is, you don't work for the Miles Square Theater, correct?
No.
But you work for an outside production agency, from what I understand. So I was just wondering if you can kind of explain that to the audience.
I work for a theater company called the 24-Hour Plays. We do this process, which is writing, rehearsing, and performing brand new plays in 24 hours on Broadway, off Broadway, across the country, and internationally every year. There's currently a campaign to try to do a production of the 24-hour plays in all 50 states, and this is the first ever licensed New Jersey production.
Wow. Right here at the Miles Square Theater, correct?
Right here at the Miles Square Theater.
Oh, well, not here, but 7 blocks. You know.
7 blocks away at the Miles Square Theater.
Exactly. But that's fascinating. I mean, and I guess this is a big deal for the Miles Square Theater, if I'm not mistaken, correct? That it's the first licensed play here, since I'm sure there's many, many other theaters in the state. So, yeah, there's a question coming, I swear. So, do you think that there's a selection process for Miles Square Theater to be picked for a 24-hour play? Or do they have to, or does somebody have to nominate them? What's the process, I'm trying to ask?
I actually nominated them.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
You're making me look really good here, Leo.
Yeah.
Okay, why did you nominate them?
I've known about Miles Square for a while. I think I did a show there back when I was in high school. And like I said, it's really hard to find like such a long-standing company doing such good work. And I met Kevin back in October and November, and he told me his new vision for Miles Square Theater as the new artistic director, and I really, really resonated it. So when I was setting out to do my master's thesis, which is why I proposed this event.
And I'm going to interrupt you. What school do you go to?
I go to the New School.
We cannot go without dropping that.
Of
correct?
course.
Anyway, go on, sorry.
Yes, when I was pitching my master's thesis, and I wanted, like I said, to do something that really supports homegrown arts here, by us, for us, instead of having to cross a river and pay $3.50 to NJ Transit every time I want to see a show.
Yeah. Well, Leo, we probably have like a minute and 10 seconds to go here. You know, and I think you mentioned this earlier, but I think we need to really hit this home. Why do you think it's important for people to support smaller theaters like the Miles Square Theater as compared to, of course, what's across the river on Broadway and so on and so forth?
Because this is where new art happens, and this is what's really affecting change across the theater community. The things that happen here are the things that one day will be up there. And this is where you get to see it first, and this is where you actually get to engage with the people that are making and developing it, and potentially even participate in it and change it. And if there's something you notice in the theater field you want to engage with or change, this is your opportunity to do it.
Wow, wow. I mean, we need to get more producers on the show, I feel like, because that answer was absolutely fabulous. Leo Diaz, who is the producer of events, am I getting that correct?
Producer of this event.
Producer of this event at the Miles Square Theater, which is happening later tonight. What's the start time of the event?
7 p.m.
7 p.m. at the Miles Square Theater, located at 1400 Clinton Street. So you're going to want to come to Il Tavolo for a meal and then go to the theater for the event, correct? Thank you so much for joining us. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Don't leave me hanging, please.
Of course.
All right, thanks again. All right, folks, we will be right back. Peter Biancamano, your hostess with the mostest of the Pulse with Peter B. Folks, don't forget to go on our Facebook and our Instagram pages by searching The Pulse with Peter B. and like and follow us on each of those platforms. We're constantly updating those pages with previews of each week's segments and cool stories. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our email address, at thepulsewithpeterb@gmail.com.
Welcome back. I'm your host with the most, Josh Sotomayor Einstein, on this episode of the Einstein Hour. No, I'm just kidding. We're unfortunately still with the Pulse with Peter B, but not unfortunately, very fortunately, I'm so happy to have my friend, Jersey City Board of Education trustee, Natalia Ioffe. How you doing?
Hi, Josh. Thank you so much for having me. And what would the Pulse with Peter be without Josh Einstein?
I agree. Let's get rid of that bum Biancamano. Wonderful people he comes from, but he's total bum. But so tell us, we've had you on recently. There was an illegal coup. Then they got their act together and they did the coup in the legal way, while at the same time, seemingly with their underwear in a bunch, acting as if their illegal coup was legal in the first place. But then why did they admit they had to do it again? And now there's been some more drama at the Board of Education in Jersey City. So why don't you fill us in what's been going on recently?
Well, if we could summarize it in one sentence, politics is a fickle mistress indeed. And that probably is the moral of this story. I think a lot of us learned a lot of things in the past few weeks. So last time I was with you guys, obviously, we were still contesting as to whether or not, a majority can just kind of do another reorganization on a whim. And so it was interesting because we've learned a lot since then. Apparently, not only can the majority do that, but they can do it more than once. So that is where we are now. But honestly, if I could, my greatest takeaway, so that, I mean, that's what happened, right? So last time I was on your show, a majority of the group of trustees decided that they wanted to do another reorganization and remove the sitting president and vice president. I was the president at the time. There was some questions about how to best do it. It was done in as an appropriate a fashion as I was explained legally. And so here's what I learned from that process is that in case of a government bodies, majority rules, and the burden of proof in that case rests pretty much on the individual being ousted. So that is kind of where the legal situation is. So if I am the individual being ousted from a leadership position in this case, then the burden of proof is with me to appeal and then to find the cause of whether or not there was just cause for such a removal. So that's something that I have yet to explore because it's new to me. I'm sure it's new to many people.
And because everybody knows you're on the Board of Education in Jersey City for the children, not for a political agenda or any other negative reason that a lot of people get involved. Like everybody knows that you volunteered for years with the PTA and other community groups that were focused on children before, they asked you to step up to the plate and run.
And that is exactly the point here. If anything, that is the root of, of the situation, because at the end of the day, what does it matter, right? And I never ran for the school board, over and over again, independently and not independently to have a title. In fact, it was, an interesting sequence of events that led me to this. It's certainly a humbling experience and an important one. It does not change in any way, shape, or form the level of responsibility that any trustee would have in this, in this body. And so, if I could just go back and do one positive takeaway of these last, few weeks and the meetings that we've had as a school board is, again, we passed $1 billion budget, preliminary budget, without any kind of tax increase to the, to the taxpayers. What could be more phenomenal than that? And that was done through mutual effort, through team effort, through hard work of the business office of the school district. To pull something like that off, given the past funding cuts by the state, given the difficulties, the constantly increasing budgets to charter schools and things like that. So if you really think about the turmoil of the past few weeks, despite the interpersonal issues, and if you take the personal out of politics, we did our job. And that's the most important thing. So
listen, I know you love always putting the children first, but I don't live in Jersey City and I don't have kids, so I applaud you for that. But I'm in it for the drama. All right. So from what I saw is that the leader of the coup against you, the leader of the illegal coup, and then the later on legalized coup, because they had to do it again, the guy that became the VP, most hilariously at the last meeting was ousted by the president that he installed in yet, another coup. It's just, I mean, it shows that, while there are people on the Jersey City Board of Education, such as yourself, that are pushing through the things that the kids need, and that the taxpayers need, like not a tax increase. Uh, you have people that are just willing to play this vicious game of stab you in the back to try to get a higher title, and they don't understand that they're making jokes of themselves.
And that is sad. And it is difficult to kind of, I don't know if, I personally abstained from the issue of the second reorg, or the third reorg, I would say, because I didn't feel comfortable, participating in that process. I disagree with it. I don't find it legitimate because it's almost as if this newfound knowledge and freedom of being able to do something just because we can doesn't mean we should do it over and over again, because that takes away from the job at hand. So I'd like to hope that that is it.
Oh yeah, listen,
You're-
I definitely think it's
You know,
bad
we've done
government.
enough reorgs, I think. We
But
can move on.
it's like a telenovela, like you don't know when the bloodletting is going to end.
I will do you one better. Once, when we were at a few shows ago, you said that the Board of Ed is like the Fellowship of the Ring because there's 9 members of the Fellowship of the Ring. And so the great question now, like the mystery at hand, is the one who wields the greatest responsibility, which is the new president, has a huge burden, so it will be very interesting to see how he fares, because, it's always one perspective to look at the person in leadership and say, they're either not doing enough or they could have done, you always have an opinion about how they should do their job. But now that, the tables have turned in this fashion, I, for one, am very curious to see how, what the next step in the story will be.
Well, I definitely think it's going to be very interesting to see whether or not this new president, is he Frodo or is he Gollum? I think he's Gollum, but there's always a chance that he turns out to be a decent human being. We'll have to see into the future, but we have about a minute and a half left. What else, from your eyes, from your perch, is going on in Jersey City and in Hudson County?
Well, we have, of course, the looming mayoral election, but well, first of all, I'm up for re-election this year, so I have a very important decision to make. Do I wish to put myself through this again, for another 3-year term, or do I want to finish out this term in a way that is conclusive and meaningful? That time will reveal itself. Another important election for me personally is the congressional election. My congressman and friend, Robert Menendez Jr., is up for re-election, and I find myself very fortunate to live in his district, first as a as a Ukrainian American, because I feel that and just as an immigrant family, because I think that his office, just the level of efficiency that has increased with his being in office, has just been absolutely tremendous. And I'm very proud of him, and I wish him all the success, and I'm happy to support him this year. So my own issues notwithstanding, that to me is one of the most important elections coming up.
Well, I definitely think that's going to be a fascinating race. Everybody knows that the Republican Party in Hudson County does not exist. I wish it existed, but we all know it doesn't actually exist because our party leaders are in bed with and work for the Democrats. So the real race is the primary between your good friends, who's been a friend of the show, Congressman Representative Menendez, and Hoboken Mayor Ravi Bala, who has also been a friend of the show. So I'm definitely fascinated to see how that unfolds. I've seen campaign material and adverts from both of them, and both have very good teams and very good messaging, and so it's definitely very, very interesting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We shall see.
Oh, indeed, we shall. And I hope you're going to be willing to come on again in the future. We'd love to have you on.
Always, and I love to be here. Thank you so much for everything you do.
Thank you, Natalia. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Peter Biancamano back with you. Don't forget to watch us on cable access every Sunday and Monday at 9 a.m. Optimum Channel 18, Files Channel 46, and Comcast Channel 190. Also on Sunday mornings at 9:30 a.m., you can watch our show on our YouTube channel, and you can also binge watch all of our old shows. Who doesn't want to keep watching The Pulse with Peter B? We'll see you there. Welcome back to the Pulse with Peter B. Still here at the beautiful Il Tavolo di Palmisano, located at 700 Clinton Street in the beautiful city of Hoboken, New Jersey. And as promised, we spoke about this last week. We said he was going to be back, and he is back for night 2 of the granddaddy of them all, the grandest stage of them all, WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia, home of the
Philadelphia Eagles.
and
John Tortorella's Flyers.
yes, anyway. And that is our pro wrestling insider, Rob Tonnesen. Welcome back, buddy.
Pleasure to see you. Throwing a little curveball at you,
that was
talking
a-
about John Tortorella.
Exactly. One of my most favorite New York Ranger coaches of all time. Did you know that?
Sure.
All right. Anyway, how are the Devils doing this year?
Anyway, moving on.
All right, let's move on. All right, Rob, we are going to talk about 4 matches that are tonight's on night 2 of WrestleMania. And we're going to start with the Intercontinental Championship match between Gunther, did I say that correctly?
Not bad.
Okay, versus Sami Zayn. And Rob, if I know you, and I've known you for over 20 years now, you love this match. Why?
Same thing I said I liked last week with the Becky Rhea stuff, the contrasting styles. Gunther being the powerhouse. He's been Intercontinental Champion now for 664 days. And it's one of those things where could Sammy beat him? Sure. But I don't think it's going to, especially as I've mentioned several times before, the international exposure. WWE's going back to Scotland, going back to Germany for major shows throughout the summer and early fall. So I think keeping it on a kind of local person in Gunther makes sense. And the thing that I really love about Gunther is he wins different ways, and it the powerhouse of just everything he does feels like it hurts, looks like it hurts, and does hurt. There's every time he throws a chop, it is just reverberating. Sami Zayn's great. I love Sami Zayn, and I think he does a great job. So with him and Gunther, it'll be fun, but I think Gunther retains.
All right. Wow. So the streak will continue, you're
Yes.
saying? Interesting. All right. Moving on now to the WWE Women's Championship match between Io Sky, who's the champion, versus Bayley, who has really turned her gimmick in the last, I would probably say, what, year?
I would say less than that.
Right.
Bayley,
Do you like it, first of all?
I do like it because Bayley is the one of the early women's revolution wrestlers that didn't get a spotlight. You had Becky, Charlotte, Mercedes Moné, formerly Sasha Banks, getting their kind of moments, and Bayley had kind of either been hurt or just wrong place, wrong time.
Gotcha.
So now Bayley winning the Royal Rumble in January could go on to probably win. So I do like Bayley to win because giving her that moment that she hasn't been afforded yet.
Interesting. Okay, so Bayley for the win there. Rob, let's talk about, and we certainly spoke about this last week, and you were talking about how people limped into WrestleMania and so on and so forth. But the WWE World Heavyweight Championship between Seth Rollins, the champion, versus Drew McIntyre. Do you still feel that this match was rushed together? And do you think that it's going to matter? Because these two guys are unbelievably skilled and talented wrestlers in the ring.
I think regardless of whether the storyline, the match itself was rushed, as I said last week, everything that Drew is doing is what CM Punk would have done had he not got hurt. So you replace Drew with Seth. I mentioned earlier with Gunther, they're going to Scotland specifically for a pay-per-view. So I really think Drew should win. Everything Drew has done on social media, everything Drew has done to troll Seth Rollins, troll CM Punk, really becoming what he should have always been. I think if WWE does not put the belt on Drew on Sunday, it is probably one of the biggest fumbles they've done in years. But here's a caveat. As you know, in July, they always have Money in the Bank. Damian Priest still has not done anything yet, and he's, at this point, the dumbest person to hold the Money in the Bank. So could he cash in the way Seth Rollins cashed in on Roman Reigns a la WrestleMania 31? Maybe. That could absolutely happen. I don't want it to because it would cheapen Drew. And Drew's the one that should have it at the time, going into Clash at the Castle in June in Scotland.
So it makes sense that Drew's going to win this.
It does
and
make
you are
sense.
predicting that, correct?
Yes, that's what I am going to say. I'm saying Drew.
All right. Now, we have a rematch of last year's WrestleMania as the main event. Of course, last year, everybody was shocked, including the man to my right, our expert pro wrestling insider, thinking that Cody Rhodes was going to win. Roman Reigns, he's not the longest world champion of all time.
No,
close.
As of Sunday, he will have he will be champion for 1,314 days. Good enough for fourth all time.
Fourth all time.
If he gets to September, he will pass Hulk Hogan of the 80s.
Wow.
And then he's got a lot to go to get before he gets to Backlund or San Martino. But
well, let me say the matchup first. It is the WWE Undisputed Universal Champion Roman Reigns, as Rob just mentioned, the current champion, versus the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes. Rob, are you going to make the same mistake you did last year and pick Cody for this one?
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Listen. Cody is, and if you would have told me this in 2019 when he started AEW and was in the Bullet Club and all this, that Cody was going to be the guy come Mania 40, I would have laughed at you. But it's Cody's story. It's 2 years of culmination, and you have whatever happens as a result of night one between Roman and Dwayne versus Seth and Cody, whatever happens there. So you're probably going to get anyone and everyone that was in the bloodline involved in some way. And Cody is stacking people up like the Avengers, so to speak. I really think 1 year, okay, 2 years, no.
Okay.
So I think Cody has to, because if Roman wins, I will be okay with it, but it's going to be one of those, it's not going to be special when he loses.
Interesting. Okay, so it's Cody's, well, but look, the WWE has thrown curveballs before, just like you threw me a curveball at the beginning of the segment, bringing up Johnny Tortorella. Right.
Absolutely, they love throwing curveballs. But the thing about WrestleMania is, it's supposed to be the end of the year, so to speak. The year is supposed to start the Monday after Mania. Right. So you end it on the happy note. You end it with the happy story. If you look at all the Manias when we were growing up, it was always the good guy winning at the end, whether it be Brett, whether it be
except for
Warrior,
last year, right?
Yeah. Right, and it really wasn't until Mania 15 that they kind of changed that around.
Right.
16, excuse me, where they changed it around, and I think you still have to leave it with the good guy wins at the end.
All right. Well, Rob, 30 seconds here. The Raw after WrestleMania, like you said, starts the new season of pro wrestling every year, even though there's no off season. A lot of surprises usually with wrestlers coming up from NXT or different promotions or so on and so forth. Do you see any surprises for the Raw after WrestleMania?
The only really major debut I would see is, do you remember back in the 90s, the Haku?
Of course.
Haku and the Barbarian.
Yes.
Well, Haku's son, Tama Tonga, formerly of New Japan Pro Wrestling, became a free agent about February, and there's always been, that's where he's going to go because of the Haku lineage and anything like that. So I definitely see he could be a debut either the Monday after or the Friday on SmackDown.
Love it. All right, Rob Tonnesen, our pro wrestling insider. Enjoy night 2 of WrestleMania tonight, WrestleMania 40.
It will be on the Peacock Network, but don't forget,
I was going to say,
Mile Square Theater tonight. That's way more important. You can watch Peacock later.
I appreciate that, Rob, and I'm sure they appreciate that as well. Thanks again, and enjoy the
pleasure.
show. All right, folks. Before we exit for today's program, a good friend of the show, Alex Corrado, who is, of course, a former actor, he's been on the show talking about the Kentucky Derby and a variety of other things, is going to be, yes, I'm going to say this correctly, at PaisanCon, which is next weekend, April 13th and 14th at the Doubletree by Hilton in Fairfield, Connecticut. Whoa, Fairfield, New Jersey, that is. So you're not going to want to miss them over there. And Alex, I just wanted to give you a shout out. Congrats on your appearance there. All right, folks, join us next week for The Pulse on everything you need to know. I'm Peter Biancamano. Have a great week, everybody.